Okay, so let's look at the Magatsu mitake narukami no mikoto boss fight, or as I'll more commonly refer to it as just the Raiden Shogun boss fight. In this video, we're going to be looking at all the phases of the boss fight, breaking down all the abilities, but mainly we're going to be looking at phase 2 and 3, because that is where a lot of the actual important mechanics that we need to know about are, whilst phase 1 is very easy or just not important. Starting off with phase 1, there's only really two mechanics that are worth noting, and it's essentially she'll spawn these nodes, electro-pylon thingies. You'll have to break them because if you don't, after a certain amount of time, the area that it is indicating will explode, dealing electro damage. She does this in two different ways, obviously the one massive one or three different small ones. It's the same either way, you just have to break it using any character. Melee attacks, elemental attacks, they all work the same. And that's about it. Everything else is just normal sword swinging, spear swinging, general attacking, just dodge it to get out of it. The fight does pick up now once you get to the puppet phase, which is indicated by the small circle underneath her HP bar filling up to full. You can't speed up or slow down this circle from filling up, so it's always going to happen at a set amount of time throughout the fight. Once it reaches full, she'll enter her puppet phase, and that is when the actual mechanics start coming in. Starting off with phase 2, there are two major mechanics that will happen throughout this fight once or twice per puppet phase, just from my experience. And essentially, the telegraph for this is Raiden Shogun will encompass herself with the two hands that are floating beneath her, and this will trigger one of two different mechanics. The first one will be the Mega Death Slash, where she will summon a little thingy in the middle of the arena. You have to hit it with an electro attack, which will instantly pop the shield. Summon a shield, she'll do her Mega Death Slash, break the shield, some cool mechanics and cool visuals will happen, and then the fight will continue. And the second one, she teleports to the center of the arena, summons three different pylons that will pulsate an AoE thing expanding from each pylon that you have to jump over. Quite a cool mechanic. And then the final part of this is all three will come down at the same time. It is rather difficult to avoid all three. You can do it very easily with Kazuha Venti, Zhongli Pillar, Traveler, Rock, whatever, but you know, getting hit by one is not going to kill you, so it's fine. But that is the mechanics. Those are the two major mechanics. Going on to a few more of the minor mechanics. The first one is this little kind of electro through the ground thing she does. She will send this purple blob towards you through the ground, and then once it reaches you, it will turn into a big circle that deals damage, essentially. Kind of a basic mechanic, so that's that. But there is a second variation to it. The second variation of this is she'll send out a little like purple blob above your head. It'll turn into two hands that will grow exponentially and twist around you until they're big enough. They'll lock in on one of your positions, they'll stop, and then after a second they will clap you, and if you're not quick enough, you'll get hit by a bit of electro damage. This is very similar to one of the Magu-Kenki mechanics, so we should all know how to dodge it. Moving swiftly onto the next mechanic, it is the 5 vertical slashes and 1 horizontal slash. Very simple to dodge. There is space between every single of the vertical slashes, so you just have to walk between them, but for the horizontal one, you can just walk outside of the frontal line of the Raiden Shogun Boss, and you'll be able to easily dodge it as they are slow-moving projectiles, essentially. Next is an actual just frontal line attack where she'll outline a rectangle in front of her that she'll deal damage inside of. You don't want to be inside there. You can stand behind her to avoid this. That is a safe area, but you can also just walk outside of the rectangle. And the final one that I think is important to mention is this little thing that she spawns on the ground. I'm not entirely sure exactly what mechanic or what attack it spawns from. She usually uses or spawns this thing alongside another mechanic, so I can't tell you exactly how it spawns, but don't stand next to it, seeing as it does explode after a few seconds. So just bear that in mind. And that is everything to do with the major stuff of phase 2. Everything else that you might encounter is just some sort of filler attack, a sword swing, a dash. It's nothing important. But now onto phase 3, where it's essentially phase 1 with a few actually pretty intense mechanics that require a bit of cognitive ability, let's say. Now, the first mechanic is going to be this after image or mirage mechanic, if you will. Raiden will teleport or jump to the center of the arena. She'll summon this like purple portal thing, and then after a second, she will split off into 4 after images, mirages, call them whatever you want. and essentially you have to just destroy the correct one. She is actually just one of them, but 3 of them are fakes, and you just have to walk up to them, destroy them with any amount of damage, physical, elemental, electro, it doesn't really matter. And if you destroy the correct one, the mechanic is over essentially. No extra damage is going out during this phase from what I noticed. It's super easy, you can actually take it chill, or you can do it as quickly as possible. It doesn't really matter in the end. Now this last mechanic is very MMO styled. Essentially, Raiden will teleport to the middle of the arena, and AoEs, small circle AoEs, will start to appear along the perimeter, kind of engulfing it all one by one, essentially. A little thing will drop down in the middle of every circle and explode, dealing electro damage. And once the whole perimeter has been covered in this explosion, essentially, she will do a massive explosion in the center of the arena. And how you do this mechanic is you essentially have to wait for one of the circles of the perimeter to explode, and the moment it explodes, you move into it to then avoid the center explosion. Because of how hit registration works, that visual on the ground doesn't actually continue to do damage, it's only that initial explosion. So once one of the perimeter circles explodes, you then move into that circle to avoid the center explosion. And that is essentially the whole Raiden Shogun fight. Everything that I didn't mention is most likely a very simple mechanic of just dodging it correctly. Something like sword swings, spear swings, general dashing. I didn't mention any of that, it's all very simple. And I think I'm going to adopt this style of doing these boss guides in a sense of I'm going to pick apart the fight and pick the mechanics that are either very severe in terms of damage, mechanics, positioning, and all that different stuff. Maybe some that are even just built different, much like a bit of the Raiden near the end. I'm going to be covering those mechanics in these boss fights to keep these guides a bit more shorter and concise. So with that, hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you learned how to do the boss fight, and if you learned anything at all in this video, like and subscribe to support the channel. We're on our way to 1,000 subscribers, and so be sure to join the team, join the squad if you will. Have a lovely day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.